The following is a production of Durham Television Network. Hello, I'm Amy Blaylock. Welcome to City Hall this week. The police department has completed its review of the 2014 traffic stop data and is addressing concerns about an increase in probable cause searches resulting from those traffic stops, while the number of consent searches is going down. Concerns about those trends were addressed during the City Council's July 23rd work session, where Deputy Chief of Operations Larry Smith presented the department's analysis based on its review of the 2014 data. The department's new consent to search policy that requires written consent began in October of last year. Overall, there were 21,939 traffic stops in Durham in 2014, 428 of which were consent searches and 478 of which were probable cause searches.
Many of the searches that officers did under consent could have been probable cause searches. And as we have conversation with our officers, they still go that route first. I would rather try to keep this encounter between me and this citizen on an amicable scale rather than just going up and say, I see something, I smell something, step out of the car, I'm gonna search it. I would rather ask for consent to search and engage in some conversation. But once I know I've got probable cause, and if the consent doesn't work, I'm gonna go ahead and do the consent search. So we did expect for
You can go ahead and do the
probable cause search, I'm sorry. We did expect, as the consent searches went down, for the probable cause searches to go up.
Of the traffic stops last year, 12,880 were black drivers and 8,440 were white.
As we looked at our traffic stops, what we did was we took a look at, is there any one particular area in the city where we conduct a larger amount of traffic stops than any other part? And we found that we did. What we have found, and you can see that density zone there, and it includes most of District 1, a little bit of District 5, Beat 522, and Beat 411, which also includes the south side. And the city is approximately 100 square miles, and that area makes up 6.5 square miles of that 100 square miles. And in there, 7,621, or almost 35% of all traffic stops, occurred in that area. The demographics of that area being quite a bit different than the demographics of a city as a whole. It's 61% black, 21% white, and 17% other. That area also accounts for 27% of all crimes in the city and 31% of all calls for service.
Of the 12,938 stops of black drivers in 2014, 340 resulted in consent searches and 403 resulted in probable cause searches. Of the 8,494 stops of white drivers, 87 resulted in consent searches and 74 resulted in probable cause searches. As part of the procedures implemented to ensure that there are no unexplained disparities between these stops, the department conducts a detailed analysis twice a year for any officer with at least 25 traffic stops and a 75% or higher stop rate of minorities.
Of that, during this period, there was 21 officers that had that, and all but 5 of those worked in either District 1 or District 4, which the demographics of those are also much different as the city as a whole. But those officers are given out to their respective district commanders, those stops. They take those stops and they get a detailed information sheet on those stops as far as the date, the time, where the stop occurred, was there a search, was there a citation written, all those things. And the district commander is tasked with looking to see, is there anything that concerns them about what they see about a pattern with this particular officer, to include going in and doing random reviews, which they do periodically anyway, of their in-car camera, to see, get a good random sample, watch how they interact with black motorists, watch how they interact with white motorists. Are we treating people the same when we interact with them?
Based on the department's analysis of the 2014 data, no unexplained disparities were found between stops of white drivers and stops of black drivers.
And we don't see any officers with anything that concerned us. Rather, we see our officers working consistent in the areas where they're assigned and consistent in the areas where we're dealing with crime issues.
The analysis also found that the Durham Police Department has fewer traffic stops than any of the major cities in North Carolina, including Fayetteville, which is a smaller city. The growing public costs associated with the expansion of high-speed internet and TV service in Durham has city staff working to find a solution that all stakeholders can accept. Utilities are installed by private companies in the public right-of-way, which means the city is responsible for the permitting, oversight, and inspection of these projects. With the number of large fiber builds slated for 2015 and the coming years, the current private utility permit fee schedule does not allow the city to recover many of the costs associated with this oversight. The Public Works Department is considering several different options and meeting with various stakeholders to come up with a solution. Department leaders are expected to report back to the City Council on what these options are later in the fall. The city is asking for your input to help shape the Third Fork Creek Stream Restoration Project. The project area includes the creek and the surrounding floodplain between Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Cardinal Drive. The project will identify strategies that will help to stabilize and modify the Third Fork Creek and trail in order to reduce sediment buildup on the trail and to protect the trail and footbridges from damaging storm events. In order to gain public input on the project, an information session will be held on August 25th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Southwest Regional Library. For more information, visit the Third Fork Creek Stream Restoration Project page on the Public Works Department homepage of the city's website. A recent survey of the GoDurham transit system is showing a higher rate of customer satisfaction, as well as areas for improvement. Compared to the previous survey conducted in 2011, the percentage of riders rating the overall service a 6 or a 7 on a 7-point scale, with 7 meaning excellent, increased by 4%. The areas of service that scored the highest were the distance between home and the closest bus stop, courtesy of the bus operators, and accuracy of information from 485 Ride. The top areas of service that need improvement were buses running on time, the time buses stop running in the evening, and frequency of service. Another area for improvement that ranked fairly high was comfort while waiting for the bus. The city's transportation department says it plans to install 20 bus shelters per year, and the funding is already in place to do that. Responding to the needs of residents and being good stewards of public funds is something the city takes very seriously. That's why fostering a culture of ethical behavior is a point of pride for both the city administration and city employees. This is such an important component of the day-to-day operations of the city that we wanted to share with you how ethics training is required for all staff and administered by the Audit Services Department.
So city employees are mandated to obtain ethics training every 3 years. New employees are provided ethics training through new employee orientation. In addition, the Audit Services staff host a fraud prevention awareness symposium annually. And at this event, we invite outside speakers, experts, such as State Auditor Beth Wood, who speak to us on specific issues such as ethics, internal controls, identity theft, and how those issues impact this organization.
During the regular trainings, the specific ethics policies of the city are covered.
We have a policy that includes 8 specific categories. We discuss conflict of interest, political activities, outside employment, the whistleblower protection. Those sorts of things are included in our ethics policies. And basically we cover what's expected in terms of behavior. We use scenarios to engage employees during that process so that we can have some kind of real-time discussion about how the policies affect us. And then we talk about sanctions, what happens if in fact those policies are violated.
Since the Audit Services Department is so small, senior and mid-level managers with the city volunteer to provide the ethics training to employees.
So we had over 50 sessions around the city. We met the employees where they were. We had over 50 sessions at 10 different locations. We had trainings at 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the evening to make sure that it would be easy for these individuals to obtain this mandatory training.
More information about the Audit Services Department can be found on the city's website. That does it for City Hall this week. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can also find us on demand on Durham Television Network's webpage and on YouTube. I'm Amy Blaylock. Thank you for joining us. This has been a production of Durham Television Network.